You know, I sometimes go to pool parties. Right. The only time I go to the pool is in the summertime, and there's a lot of other people there. But, you know, it's always some kind of party or something that's going on there. And I don't even live in a gated community. Down in Texas there, kids were going to a party, and some woman, her name is... No, it's not Ruff. Her last name is Toon. So that's got to tell you something right there. Her last name is Toon. Apparently, her and her husband got into it with some teenagers there because they were playing. They were afraid they were going to play their music too loud, and she ended up pulling their hair. And the husband saw the incident of them struggling and called the cops. Now, the thing is, the guy, his name is Sean Toon. Apparently, he's had some incidences with the police in the past. But when the police showed up, they immediately just believed him because, I don't know, he's white, and these other people were black. The thing here is there was a scuffle going on, and one of the police officers who was down there, he goes out full out rage, and he pulls a gun out on several other teens. And then he has the audacity to say, I didn't pull a gun. I don't know what you're talking about. You're seeing things. You're lying. I didn't pull a gun on anybody. I watched the 7-minute video just before the show. Wow. I was sitting here with my jaw in my hand trying to hold it up because the video is like, wow. Any cop that acts like this just does not belong in the force, and I'm glad that he resigned. They should bring charges against him for the crap he did. I mean, if anybody else had done anything like this, they would have their charges drawn up against them. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, this has been all over the internet, and I only watched this video maybe 2 days ago. I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about it, and I was like, well, I got to see this now, because I seen like screenshots of it and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I went and I watched the video, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But then I also watched a few other things, like after he resigned, the city came out and made a statement, and they said that morning he had responded to a call where somebody had committed suicide.
Yeah.
And so he had to deal with the cleanup of a dead body and grieving relatives and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was consoling the relatives, and he had to take pictures of the dead body. And then his next call that day was to another attempted suicide. This time it was like a teenage girl on the roof of her house, and she was trying to jump, and he had to talk her down, and he successfully talked her down.
Right.
And then the third call was to go break up the disturbance at a party or something like that. And on the way to that call, he got another call that was, okay, now it's an assault. There's fighting going on.
Right.
So when he showed up, he was already like not having a really good day. They said he had 10 years of good service, but on this particular day, he just sort of lost it. He went over the edge. And I watched the video, and I saw him like, grabbing teenagers and yelling at them and throwing them on the ground, and he jumped on that one girl. She was like 15 years old, and he's like putting his knee into her back, and she's crying and she's screaming, I want my mama, and he's screaming at her like, shut up, and then he pulled his gun on a group of kids, and it's really unfortunate, because I think we're all human.
Yep.
And I think that sometimes the police are put in really difficult situations, and sometimes they do lose it. There needs to be a little bit of compassion for that. But at the same time, if you're going to show up on a scene, you have to be professional, and you can't be grabbing kids and throwing them to the ground and screaming at people, and then whipping out your gun at unarmed teenagers. Because they are just children.
Right.
The teenagers are kids, and
you did mention being professional. Now we swear on the show a lot, and I really don't care if anybody swears. But he's professional. He was swearing at them. He's telling them to get the fuck down. You get your asses out of here. I mean, if I were to go and start swearing like that to the people I have to deal with every day, I'd be fucking fired right on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, one of the police techniques I learned this again from the other show is asserting dominance. Yeah. So when you show up to a scene that's really out of control, you have to like assert dominance and be kind of rough like that, and get into like the police train in doing this stuff. But this scene, I mean, it was pretty much just a bunch of teenagers standing around. Some of them were arguing like verbally with each other, and he came running in there like a quarterback, or not a quarterback, like a football player, just running in there like, I'm gonna fucking,
It looked like right towards the beginning of the video, it looked like he started tumbling or something. Like
he did. He fell. He tripped, and he did like a somersault, and he got back up and kept going. And then like he dropped a flashlight, and the kids picked up the flashlight and they brought it to him. And
they brought it to another police officer who was real cool. It's like, oh, hey, thanks a lot. And then
I thought they gave it to him because it looked like him, but
no, it was a different guy because he was the other guy. He took off running. He was still running across the parking lot, as I recall. And it was like, oh, here we picked up this guy's flashlight, and he goes, oh, it's not. No, it's not. They were bantering back and forth. No, it's not his. And he goes, and then
because when they handed that guy the flashlight, I thought that was him, and he seemed pretty calm at that moment because he was standing around with other officers and he was just talking, and he was like, what? Oh, thank you. And he took the flashlight.
Yeah, that was a different officer.
Then immediately following that, he's screaming at people.
Yeah, no, that was he came in from in the video. He comes in from the left. He's like, oh, that's mine, and then that's when all hell started breaking loose again.
Oh, so okay, all right. Yeah, because I thought it was kind of an escalation. Like he came running into the scene, then he was calm and thanked them for giving him the flashlight, and then the next few seconds he's screaming at people again. And it's like, whoa, what happened, buddy?
Yeah.
But, I mean, he came out right away, apologized, resigned. He was a 10-year veteran on the force, and he just said, like, it was my fault, my bad. I acted inappropriately, and I quit.
Yeah, I'm glad he quit, because if you can't control yourself, you don't belong dealing with the public like that. John, your thoughts?
Before Joe mentioned all of those other things, I actually thought that the officer was a complete douchebag. I was completely unaware of those other things. I just heard, basically, the story about the beginning of it, how he just went over there and slammed the crap out of those kids and stuff, But I was in law enforcement for 15 years.
Really?
I mean, I worked not only with police, I worked with ATF, I worked with FBI, I worked with all of them in some type of arena, not directly for them companies, but I worked with them. And I've even been in the prison system as well. I worked in the prison system for a long time, but I have to say it is a rather stressful job to be in, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be times, that you're going to be tested. And I can see where he's coming from when he said that, I could see where Joe was coming from when he said that, that was a lot for him to handle that day. Yeah. Because it is a stressful job, but one has to think at the same time, there has to be a line that can't be crossed,
Yeah.
And it's hard to not cross it because, again, we're only human. We're not perfect. And it's definitely something, I think, people need to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's going to be other officers that are just going to flat out abuse their authority, if you will.
Right.
And I think the answer to this particular solution would be maybe some more in detail training for the officers that are going to be in their respective police forces,
Oh, yeah.
And it's definitely something to consider because I think that it would prepare the officers, for working out on the field.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And because when I worked with other officers and when I worked with the fellow officers in the prison system, we went through a very detailed training course. They throw gas at us. We had to breathe it, and we had to do all of these other types of things while we were in this gas cloud, so on and so forth. We had to deal with all these simulated stress moments, And I think, because a lot of these people, a lot of them, simply abuse their power just to abuse it.
Oh.
And again, it goes all the way back to that training thing. Things, they got to come up with a better program to train officers. Tremendously. It's got to be successful, on a tremendous level, and it's something that I've always been concerned about.
Yeah, because it seems to me that police officers nowadays, as humans, we have this response called fight or flight, and it seems like they're always in mode of fight mode. They're always ready to go. I think
that's
guy.
Part of the job of being a cop, though.
Yeah, I imagine so. But it's the fact is that this guy I think he went overboard. I really think he overboard. I think as I was watching the video, he did pummel this girl onto the concrete. Apparently she was. I read through the story there, and she didn't have any bruises or scratches or anything like that, so she got off lucky in that regard. So I was still beside myself. The fact is, this guy, he pulls a gun on children. I was like, where the hell are you gonna hide a gun in a swimsuit? I mean, come on now.
Yeah. Well, with my situation too, Packer, when I was in law enforcement, the last part of my career, I was working for a sheriff's department, and I was a sergeant, and I was working, and I witnessed someone kill themselves myself,
Wow.
and that really screwed me up in the head. And that at that particular point in time, I realized I tried to make it work. I tried for a couple of years, but I realized that I couldn't handle it anymore. And that's when I became a hazard to my fellow officers and myself,
Yeah.
And I went to get some help, and that's what I'm doing now, getting help for it, because it's another world,
Yeah, I imagine so.
I was just going to throw in that, I think that part of what he's saying, the officers should have better training. Part of that training maybe should be like if you feel like you're at the end of your rope that day, that maybe they should let the officers know that, like, okay, you can contact your supervisor and just be like, I need to be pulled out of the game for a little bit. I need to get my head together. I saw some fucked up shit today, and I don't think that I could be of help to the next situation, or I might be a danger if I go into this next situation, like, just give them that out, or let them know that they can have that out, because I worked in a kind of stressful job where there was a history of abuse, like we took care of people with disabilities, and so one of my supervisors actually said to me, she's like, if you ever feel like you're at wit's end and you just can't take it anymore, call me and I'll send you home and you can come back tomorrow. Just take the day. Don't put yourself in a situation where you might become abusive, because we serve these people and we have to protect them. And so I don't want to have to be in the situation where I have to fire you or discipline you. Just call me and tell me, listen, I can't do this right now. I have to go home.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I think the police officers, because they like you said, there's a very stressful job. They should be allowed to have that out. Like, okay, I just came from a murder scene where a guy blew his own head off. Well, not a murder scene, a suicide scene. I had to deal with his crying wife. I need at least, give me a few hours, give me the rest of the day.
Right.
Let me just go home and get my head together,
Yeah, and I think a big reason why they don't is because they'll be perceived by their fellow officers as a pussy and unable to handle the job. So they'll think, he can't handle it. Why did you let him off?
Fuck the jock shit, though. We're all human.
I know, but that's the thing is, the police department is that. It's a bunch of jocks with guns.
Yep.
Yeah,
I worked around a lot of officers who thought that they were 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and they had an 8-inch cock. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I've definitely dealt with my fair share of cops who thought they were taller than they were.
Yeah.
But I've also had interactions with police who were older. They were more experienced, and they were very, very polite and helpful, and like, hey, listen, this is the situation right now. If you need me to come back, call me, and I'll come back.
Right.
And they were just mad cool, and I'm just like, wow, can't all cops be like that? But they're not all like that, because people are different people. So
yeah, no, I've had my fair share of dealing with the police department. I've had both good and bad experiences, not real bad experiences, but nothing to this level. But I mean,
did it hurt when they tased you?
Yes, it did.
And what about the pepper spray? Which one sucked more, the pepper spray or the taser?
Well, it was the taser, because I couldn't I told them to give me the pepper spray so I could put it on my pizza, and they didn't like that.
And then they give you the pepper spray.
And they give you a pepper spray. It's like, okay, thanks. I just squirted on my pizza and I ate it.
Well, to be honest with you, when it comes to pepper spray and tasers, personally, I'd rather be tasered than pepper sprayed.
Yeah, I think so too, because that capsaicin will just get in your skin, and then it just burns for days and days and days. At least with a taser, you're shocked. Okay, I can get past that. After a little while.
I have never been tasered, but I had a roommate who had a canister of mace on a keychain,
Mm-hmm.
and he was playing with it, and he accidentally discharged it into the room. And he's like, "Whoops! I sprayed some of it." And then we all felt it on our skin and in our eyes,
Ugh.
and we went running from the room, and like we felt it for like over an hour. We're just like, this sucks. We're
Yeah.
like rinsing our eyes, and we weren't even directly sprayed with it. He just sprayed it into the center of the room, and it was enough to agitate all of us.
I used to drive school bus many years ago, and I think I heard about somebody doing this. They actually had to clear out the entire bus for this.
Oh yeah. Any contained area, like that stuff gets on everything.
Yeah.
And it burns. It hurts.
Yeah. See, I eat electricity for breakfast. It's not good. It's not very filling.
For breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's right. It's not very filling, but I mean, I can handle a charge.
Put some hot sauce on my burrito.
There you go.